Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Xavier Prasad. I use he, him pronouns, and I serve as Senior Legislative Counsel at the Human Rights Campaign. I also have the honor of authoring the annual Municipal Equality Index. I'm elated to see so many of you here today from all across the country to mark the release of our 9th annual Municipal Equality Index. We have an incredible lineup for you today, so let's go ahead and get the program started. It's my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, President of the Human Rights Campaign, ALPHONSO David.
Thank you, Xavier, and thank you all for joining us today. I want to especially thank Mayors KEISHA Lance Bottoms, Austin Quinn-Davidson, Steve Williams, and BREEA Clark for being on this call, as well as our state partners, ALLIE SHINN from Freedom, Oklahoma, and Andrew SCHNEIDER from Equality, West Virginia. 2020 has been an unprecedented year. While we witnessed historic victories for the LGBTQ community, we also saw how far ahead the North Star of full equality remains. Discrimination against LGBTQ people and other marginalized groups is unfortunately very much alive, which has been further exacerbated by regressive federal policies and rhetoric over the past several years. Despite these immense challenges, our communities have found resilience and solidarity in one another. And leaders in cities and municipalities across this country met the moment with urgent action as they continued their work to advance equality and inclusion for all. As this year's Municipal Equality Index makes clear, in the absence of federal leadership, municipalities have been leading the way on LGBTQ progress. The national average for cities increased for the 4th year in a row and marked the highest national average increase since the inaugural report in 2012. And 94 cities earned 100% point score this year, the most in the index's history. Local leaders are advancing equality not only for their constituents, but for their own employees. For the first time, 179 of the cities we scored now offer transgender inclusive health benefits to city employees. Further, we had a major development this year when the United States Supreme Court issued its decision in Bostock versus Clayton County, making clear that discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity is prohibited under federal employment non-discrimination law. And while the Bostock decision is significant, there is still a lot of work left to be done. Municipalities have a major role in ensuring that Bostock is appropriately implemented in their local agencies and through their enforcement agencies so that LGBTQ people can be protected from discrimination. And as we celebrate all of this progress that we have seen in cities and municipalities across the country, and as we saw in the Bostock decision, we must also commit to address the fundamental injustices in our society. This past year has been a stark and stinging reminder that racism is as defining a characteristic of the American experience as the ideals upon which we claim to hold our democracy. It is incumbent on all of us, including our municipal leaders, to address the ways in which our systems uphold white supremacy as we transform these systems to truly serve all of us. We must also acknowledge how systems of oppression, including racial injustice, have made vulnerable communities even more vulnerable during the COVID-19 pandemic. As research released by the Human Rights Campaign makes very clear, the COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately impacted LGBTQ people, people of color, and has been especially harsh for those living at the intersections of multiple marginalized identities. As municipalities look to negotiate these incredibly challenging times and rebuild in the times ahead, they must also ensure that the most impacted receive the most support. Municipalities who fight for change have remained key drivers of necessary progress, and for that, we are grateful. We are especially appreciative of the deep commitment from top scoring cities that positively impact the lives of millions of LGBTQ people, as well as the undaunted leadership of our partners at the Equality Federal Institute and statewide LGBTQ organizations. We all remain united in our shared mission to serve our communities and fulfilled our nation's promise of full equality under the law. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you, Alfonso. Now we'll be sharing with you a message from a dear friend of the Human Rights Campaign, Atlanta Mayor KEISHA Lance Bottoms.
Hello, I'm Atlanta Mayor KEISHA Lance Bottoms, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm proud to join my friend Alphonso David and the entire Human Rights Campaign team today for the launch of the 2020 Municipal Equality Index. For 8 consecutive years, the City of Atlanta has achieved a perfect score on this important index. This year, we are proud to have attained our highest ever total raw score, which is 109. The MEI is so important because it continues to challenge municipalities to take a comprehensive look at the quality of life for LGBTQ residents and workers. We are proud of our administration's long-standing partnership with HRC. This year, we came together for 2 historic virtual events: the Mayor's LGBTQ Opportunity Fair and the Connecting Communities National LGBTQ Liaison Summit. The Connecting Communities Summit brought together more than 100 LGBTQ municipal liaisons and allied officials for a first-of-its-kind convening. We also held our Opportunity Fair, which provided more than 800 LGBTQ people access to job opportunities and vital resources. 2020 has been a roller coaster year for everyone, including the LGBTQ community. We saw the election of the most pro-equality presidential ticket in our nation's history and the affirming of the rights of LGBTQ people in the workplace. However, we also saw record high numbers of incidents and deaths for trans Americans, and recently a federal court overturned a life-saving conversion therapy ban. Mayors and municipalities remain the first line of defense on so many issues, including LGBTQ equality. Now more than ever, it's up to all of us to continue protecting and advancing LGBTQ rights. That's why I'm proud to have recently appointed a member of HRC's National Board of Governors as Atlanta's first ever Director of LGBTQ Affairs, Malik Brown. This historic appointment marks the first of its kind in the South and one of only a handful in the country. Malik will work closely with me and members of our administration, as well as key stakeholders, on programs, policies, and initiatives affecting the LGBTQ community. It's my hope that this historic appointment will encourage mayors and other elected officials across the country to create similar roles. It's been an honor to join my friends at HRC today, and I look forward to our continued partnership on behalf of the people of Atlanta and LGBTQ people across the country. Thank you.
Please welcome the Mayor of Norman, Oklahoma, BREEA Clark.
Hello, my name is BREEA Clark, and I'm the Mayor of Norman, Oklahoma, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. We are so honored to be recognized as one of the HRC's 61 MEI All-Star designations. Our motto here in Norman is building an inclusive community. When we adopted the most comprehensive anti-discrimination ordinances in the state of Oklahoma, the Norman City Council took legislative action to help our community live out that motto. This bold action helped us to significantly improve our Municipal Equality Index score, and it would not have been possible without the hard work of a local attorney and LGBTQ ally, Don Holliday, in addition to the support of our partners at Freedom, Oklahoma. I remember meeting with Executive Director ALLIE SHINN to discuss the possibility of getting such an ordinance passed. I knew we had the council and the community support, and thanks to the work of Mr. Holliday, we had the ordinance ready to go. Given Norman's somewhat rocky history with supporting the LGBTQ community, I think we were all a bit surprised at how smoothly the vote went. Over the last decade, our community has made significant strides in how we recognize and protect members of the LGBTQ community, but there is still work to do in Norman and throughout the state of Oklahoma. It is my hope that we show the rest of our state that moving beyond our struggles of the past and adopting these kinds of ordinances are not only possible in Oklahoma, but they make your city a better, more inclusive, safer place for residents to live. Change is possible, and we're proud to have it start right here in Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Clark. It's my pleasure to now introduce the Executive Director of Freedom, Oklahoma, ALLIE SHINN.
Thanks, Xavier, and thank you so much for having me. My name is ALLIE SHINN. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm the Executive Director of Freedom Oklahoma, and I'm so honored to be sharing this space with some of my favorite people, Mayor BREEA Clark and Don HOLLADAY, just absolute giants in this movement for LGBTQ and two-spirit equality here in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is, maybe not a place that a lot of folks outside of Oklahoma think about a lot, but I can assure you that it is full of a vibrant queer and transgender community. Here in the heart of the Bible Belt, LGBTQ people have really flourished, have ensured that our culture has been maintained and that we've created safe spaces for ourselves. And one of those safe spaces is right here in Norman, Oklahoma. This is also an objectively difficult state to be a member of the LGBTQ community. With no statewide protections on non-discrimination, a legislature that is outwardly hostile to LGBTQ issues, we know that we can guarantee every year several anti-LGBTQ measures will be filed at the State House. And thanks to our work with HRC and folks across the country, we are lucky if they don't advance, but often, unfortunately, they do. And that's why it's so critical that the work that has happened in Norman, Oklahoma continues. When I think about what's happened in Norman, I really think about the work of groups like Norman United and organizers on college campuses who have created leadership among LGBTQ people and their allies that passes from generation to generation. There was a historic vote in Norman this year that has made them well-deserved of being highlighted by the HRC this year. But we all know that that work was years in the making. It is due to the hard work of organizers on campuses, to the hard work of Don and Kay HOLLADAY of the PFLAG chapter there, the Human Rights Commission, Sage Malden, so many people who have worked tirelessly and then graduated and passed on their organizing skills to the next generation. Norman is really a great beacon of shining hope for Oklahoma's LGBTQ communities. And so Freedom Oklahoma is really here to support the leadership that is happening in Norman already. And we're so honored to be a part of the work that is ongoing there and to learn from all the work that's happened in Norman. What I think we can learn from Norman in a place like Oklahoma is that in the heart of the Bible Belt, we all know that we are deserving of more than we have. What Norman's shown us is that if we reach for it, we can absolutely achieve it as well. I want to say a huge thanks to everything that Norman has done for our communities over the past year. It's been an honor to work with you, and every other municipality in Oklahoma, your move.
Thank you, ALLIE. Last up from the city of Norman, we have Don HOLLADAY, a lead community advocate in the successful effort to pass Norman's non-discrimination ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation being here. Thank you to the HRC, and thank you for the challenge of the Municipal Equality Index also. We used it as our guide because we wanted to be where we've gotten to be. I was honored to be a part of the most comprehensive anti-discrimination ordinance in the state, but I need to tell you that I live in a community that believes in localism. We believe in taking on matters ourselves that improve the quality of our life and issues that affect the citizens of our community. So it's a great place to be. And this ordinance could not have passed except that we had strong allies, local allies, and then of course, HRC helped us in the final stages. But some of those allies, groups that organized like Norman United, Freedom Oklahoma, PFLAG, its local chapter, and the Moms group, all came together with a very receptive city council to pass a comprehensive ordinance because we wanted to do something when equality seemed to be stalemated at both the state and the federal level. And the preamble of our ordinance says that the purpose of this ordinance is to ensure that this community allows each citizen a full opportunity to reach their potential as human beings. And that's what we're all about. And so I was happy to be a part of it. And I'm very pleased that we have the type of allies in this state, in the Bible Belt of the United States, that allows us to directly address quality of life issues. And this ordinance is a good example of what Norman does. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Now we'll be shifting gears to highlight the work of Huntington, West Virginia. Please welcome Huntington Mayor Stephen Williams.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Williams. I'm the mayor of Huntington, West Virginia, and the pronouns that I respond to are he, him, and his. It's an honor to be able to be here. This is something that we had set our eyes towards accomplishing in my first year in office. Thanks to the Municipal Equality Index, we were able to be told where we were when I came into office and where we could aspire to be. I'm awfully proud that this is our second year in a row that we have a raw score of 104. That is significant in and of itself, but where we were when we first came into office, when I first came into office 8 years ago, is what makes this particularly special. Our raw score in 2013 was only a score of 45. And that was something that bothered me immensely. And I knew that our community was better than that our community and the people who make up our city are individuals who are full of compassion and caring for one another. But what we also knew is that someone had to step forward and lead and set the example. And as a result of that, as mayor of the city, I found that what we needed to do is be able to draw individuals together to actually begin addressing the issues. So as a result, we created the first ever in the city Mayor's Advisory Committee on LGBTQ issues. We also created a Mayor's Advisory Committee on diversity. Each of these were created as an advisory committee to the mayor so that we'd be able to discuss about the direction that we needed to go, what we needed to accomplish in the community, and be able to identify not only setting forward a vision as to what we're seeking to do, articulating that vision, but then putting a plan in place. And each of the advisory committees came together to advance our goals. And that's how we reached the raw score of 104. One of the issues that they decided to bring forward and they came to was not something that the city would mandate, but where the community would embrace, and we call it an open to all campaign. In essence, giving businesses, churches, institutions, neighborhood groups, various groups throughout the community, just simply to be able to make a statement saying we are open to all, that this space is a safe space where everyone is welcome. And we're so proud that over 300 communities, 300 institutions, 300 organizations, churches, businesses, different civic groups in the community have chosen to be a part of it. Huntington, West Virginia is right on the West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky border. There are communities next door in Ohio and in Kentucky, and in other cities in West Virginia have come to us and said that they want to be a member of the Open to All campaign. And what we're also hearing is that this is about to go statewide in West Virginia. We're awfully proud of what we've been able to do, but more importantly than anything else is that our Open to All campaign is setting an example for other small communities across the nation to be able to follow. In 2018, the National League of Cities awarded Huntington for our population category the Cultural Diversity Award for small cities. We hold on to that trophy with absolute pride. It has been heartwarming to see how our community has come together. I'm so proud that we have Andrew SCHNEIDER with Fairness West Virginia here with us today, and ALLIE LAYMAN, who is on my LGBTQ advisory committee, as well as my diversity committee, to be with us. This is not something that is mandated by government. It shouldn't be. This is something that's embraced by the community and held close by the community as it should be. And that's a lesson for us to be able to take to the rest of the nation. Thank you once again to the Human Rights Campaign for setting up this Municipal Equity Index for us, giving us something to be able to target and to be able to reach for, because as was once said, if our reach shouldn't exceed our grasp, then what's a heaven for? We should always be moving forward, and the Municipal Equity Index helps us do just that. Thank you.
Thank you for that message, Mayor Williams. Now I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of Fairness West Virginia, Andrew SCHNEIDER.
My name is Andrew SCHNEIDER, and I'm the Executive Director of Fairness West Virginia. My pronouns are he, him, his. And first off, want to mention that we are grateful to have HRC as a partner in this important work. And I'm also very proud to be on this panel discussing this important work with Mayor Williams and ALLIE LAYMAN as well. We're so proud that the city of Huntington is getting the recognition it deserves. Mayor Steve Williams has done a fantastic job continuing the city's legacy of being a leader for equality. Thanks to his dedication and leadership, Huntington became the first in the state to score 100 points on the Municipal Equality Index. For several years now, the city of Huntington has been the model for how small cities in Appalachia can grow their economy while promoting inclusivity. City leaders launched an innovative and eye-catching campaign to promote all of the wonderful businesses in the city that promote diversity. As Mayor Williams mentioned, the Open to All campaign spurred a renewed sense of pride in the city and demonstrated to the world that all are welcome here. We've known for a long time that one key to the successes of Fortune 500 companies is diversity. And this campaign showed that diversity is good for small business too. Huntington should prove to everyone how quickly progress can be made. Its score this year is more than double what it was 6 years ago. And I hope the entire state of West Virginia takes inspiration from this achievement. Our communities thrive best when we commit ourselves to fully living out our values, when we pledge to finally live up to our state's motto that Mountaineers are always free. And although this is an important day for Huntington, I have to mention the work that we still have to do. And that is the patchwork of protections West Virginia currently has that isn't fully covering all of the population here. LGBTQ people might be protected in places like Huntington, but we only have 13 municipalities currently that have inclusive LGBTQ non-discrimination protections. And when someone steps outside city limits of these 13 municipalities, those protections don't follow them. It's time to ensure all Mountaineers, all Americans are given equal protection and dignity under the law. It's time to pass the Fairness Act at the state level and the Equality Act at the federal level. If Huntington is ready for equality, our leaders should feel confident that the rest of us are too. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Up next is ALLIE LAYMAN, President of Huntington Pride and board member of the Huntington Human Relations Commission.
Hello, my name's ALLIE LAYMAN. I go by the pronouns she, her, hers. I'm a founding member and president of Huntington Pride. I'm on Mayor Williams' LGBTQ Advisory Committee and the Diversity Inclusion Committee. I'm also a commissioner on the HRC for Huntington. Mayor Williams took the lead in 2014 to start to bring our score up from 45 to 104. He started changing the heart of our community here in Huntington. He's led by example in helping create an environment of diversity and inclusion. By taking the lead and creating a change here in our community, he's made possible for events like the Huntington Pride Festival that I never thought that I would see in my lifetime. We now have an environment that no matter who you are home here in Huntington, and everybody is a Huntingtonian. One example of this is the Open to All campaign. It's awesome to see all the stickers around the city. It makes myself and my wife feel comfortable holding hands and just feeling safe in our community. It's just that simple act that shows that our city is full of love. I want to take a minute to thank Mayor Steve and everybody who's involved in making this happen to plant the seed of love in our community and allow it to flourish. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. Now I want to turn your attention to the city of Anchorage, Alaska. It's my pleasure to introduce Acting Mayor Austin Quinn-Davidson.
My name is Austin Quinn-Davidson, as Xavier said, and I'm currently serving as the acting mayor of Anchorage. I live and work on Denaina land, and my preferred pronoun is she. Thank you so much for having me. My wife, Stephanie, and I met in Anchorage and have built our home here together, and we are so proud of our city, and it's just an honor to be here with you today. Unfortunately, the state of Alaska has failed to establish legal protections for LGBTQ Alaskans. So in the fall of 2015, the Anchorage Assembly stepped up and passed a non-discrimination ordinance that prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation in Anchorage. As the home of 40% of the state's population, securing those protections in our city was a big deal. But the win didn't come easily, and the fight was not over. In 2018, a ballot measure to repeal protections specific to gender identity was placed in front of voters. The campaign against ballot measure and for equality involved a large coalition of community members, businesses, and faith leaders, but it was really led and defined by the transgender Anchorage residents who had the courage to become the face of the campaign and to fight hate by widely sharing their own stories. LENNON, who's with us here today, is one of those individuals who led the way and made it possible for Anchorage to become the first city in the country to defeat such an initiative. The courage of our LGBTQ community has driven progress in Anchorage and throughout Alaska, but government has a critical role to play as well. Local governments have the power to lead by example. We set the standard for what inclusive workplaces look like and can require the same of our contractors. Anchorage is doing that. When states fail to cover gender-affirming healthcare, cities can step in, and we are. Most recently, the Anchorage Assembly passed an ordinance that protects Anchorage youth from conversion therapy, something I know Chair Rivera and I are both, along with our co-sponsor, Assemblymember Christopher Constant, very proud of. Every time we take a step forward, we hear loud, angry voices, folks who lack understanding and don't speak with love in their hearts. But we also hear from the people who for their whole lives have been told that there is something wrong with them, and for the first time know that their voice matters, that they belong, and that they are not alone. Working toward a day when everyone sees a place for themselves and feel they truly belong is our obligation as elected leaders. We have more work to do together. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, Mayor Quinn-Davidson. Up next, please welcome Anchorage Assembly Chair Felix Rivera.
My name is Felix Rivera, and I serve as the first openly gay and Latinx chair of the Anchorage Assembly. My pronouns are he, him, his. First, I want to acknowledge that I currently reside on the unceded lands of the Denaina people who have stewarded these lands for thousands of years, and welcomed me to Alaska and Anchorage. I love our city, and I'm proud to be here to showcase the progress Anchorage has made. After I was elected in 2017, the Anchorage Assembly had achieved a huge milestone. Not only had Anchorage voted in its first LGBT elected official, but we decided to break multiple of the last ceilings and elected 3 LGBT Assembly members, including Assemblymember Christopher Constant, and shortly after, the now acting Mayor Austin Quinn-Davidson joined the team. With an unofficial LGBT caucus now in place, my fellow colleagues and I looked at ways we could increase awareness, but more than that, erase injustices and inequities which exist in our society. That's what led to passing for the first time a resolution honoring Transgender Day of Remembrance, defending drag story time at the Lusac Library, and ensuring that all parts of our community are seen and not erased during the telling of the often whitewashed, straight and cis narratives of our nation. We were able to, with the help of a strong LGBT community, which continue to have our backs and encouraged us to lead the way, to tell our own personal stories and help our broader community better understand the many LGBT experiences which are too often hidden away. That's why earlier this year, our unofficial LGBT caucus, with the support and determination of our community, decided to move forward with a ban on conversion therapy. In the shadow of the recent successes, which acting Mayor Austin Quinn-Davidson described And in the middle of a moment of hyper-partisanship and anger driven by the politicizing of a pandemic, the Anchorage Assembly approved a ban on conversion therapy for minors, the first, but definitely not the last in the state. Now, I don't want to paint a picture of only success. We have a long way to go. Just last month, we came the closest we ever have to electing an LGBT state legislator within 90 votes. Without our voice in the legislature, a statewide non-discrimination bill continues to linger and be lost in the halls of our capital. I'm so proud to live in this city where the LGBT community came out in force this summer to support the indisputable fact that Black lives matter. Because we know that until the Black transgender members of our community can live without fear and until true equity exists for all, that our fight is not done. But I know that we're gonna get through this together and do it the Anchorage way, working to raise our voices against inequity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Rivera. And last but not least, please welcome queer transgender activist LILLIAN Lennon.
Hi all, my name is LILLIAN Lennon, she, her, hers, they, them, theirs, and I'm amazed to have seen and participated in the great strides of our city, my hometown, has taken to provide people of all walks of life with the opportunity to live freely, express themselves openly, and to work, live, and play in a community that has made the effort to reject discrimination. Among many other accomplishments within the last few years, we have rejected a dangerous anti-trans initiative at the ballot, supported LGBTQ+ people into positions of leadership, including 2 assembly members and our acting mayor, and officially banned conversion therapy. It is significant to see Anchorage serve as a beacon of what we could be, both in the state of Alaska and nationally. Our state and our nation have a long way to go in actively supporting the queer community, but hopefully others will take notice of the amazing work Anchorage, Norman, Huntington, and other cities leading the way like ours have done. To be honest, I never thought I would be able to live my life openly and to the fullest in the place I was raised. But I'm glad to see that we're making strides, we're changing, and I'm proud to call Anchorage my home. That said, we still have much work to do in order to hold our representatives and organizations accountable to their pledge to serve our community's most vulnerable, to expand our patchwork protections for the queer population and services for Black, Indigenous, people of color, and reform law enforcement. I encourage Anchorage to continually, our work is never truly done, and I encourage Alaska to follow suit. Thank you.
Thanks so much, LILLIAN. And thank you to all of our speakers today for courageously carrying forward the work of advancing LGBTQ equality day in and day out.